What's going on, guys, and welcome to another video. This is of course the first wash of my 2014 Gen 1 Raptor. So if you guys don't know the story, I actually bought this truck in Florida and drove it all the way to Ohio, which is a little over 1,000 miles. So I was actually pleasantly surprised to see that the truck really was not in as bad of shape as I had assumed. I know it's a truck and I know it's used for more dirty activities usually, you know, things that may be on or off road, hauling stuff, and kind of more wear and tear than like a normal car. So it was actually really nice to see that like the door jambs weren't caked, the engine bay looked okay, and the wheels and tires were really not that bad. So of course, as you guys know, I like to start by cleaning the wheels and the wheel wells, the exhaust, that kind of thing of any vehicle first. It's the dirtiest part. And I was, like I mentioned, pleasantly surprised to see that just using brake buster on the wheels was a pretty good solution. I scrubbed the tires really thoroughly and they came out really good. Like it only took like 1 or 2 applications to get them in, I like to call it acceptable shape. This is not to perfect the truck, it's just really to wash it and get it to sort of acceptable standards, so at least I can feel not completely embarrassed, you know, driving it around. So I was really surprised that the wheel wells especially were super clean, which is really nice for something like a Raptor especially. And the other thing that I definitely confirmed is that this truck has been undercoated. It's been sprayed with, it looks like a professional undercoat. It's sprayed black underneath. It's on the, you know, the differentials and all the kind of the main suspension components, the frame and that sort of thing, the wheel wells. So when I detailed this truck, I had a lot less work than I thought. I mean, it's massive, but a lot of those areas that I thought I would have to address, especially kind of just on the first wash and just getting the grime that's built up over the years off of it, I didn't have to really do that, which is really nice. So regarding the exhaust tips, I actually tried to use my classic method of Adam's heavy duty wheel cleaner, letting it sit and then scrubbing it away. These tips are actually supposed to be chrome, but they just didn't come out clean, which is not really a big issue because a new exhaust is already going to be on the truck very soon. Of course, we go into our standard rinse procedure. As I've mentioned before, especially after a road trip, I like to spend a lot of time like just blasting the vehicle, blasting the front, the mirror caps, the windshield, anything especially that you've had bug residue sitting on. That is your chance to kind of loosen it up and just get that removed even before you foam and actually wash the vehicle. So I spent a lot more time rinsing, especially felt like I spent a lot more time because the truck is massive. I mean, this thing, it feels like cleaning a bus. So of course I foamed the truck with the Adams regular blue shampoo, which I really like, in my MTM foam cannon. Links are all in the description, by the way, guys. And of course that was just kind of the normal procedure. One of the things that I thought was kind of different that I'm not used to was cleaning the bed cover. I have like a really nice one actually. I got kind of lucky that the previous owner spent the money on a roll-in lock cover, but I've never really like cleaned one before. So all I did was just use my washman. After I was done washing the truck, I just used my washman and I just washed it just like paint. It has like a little bit of, I don't know if it's discoloration from the sun, but I feel like maybe there could be some improvements I could make kind of going forward. I don't want to spend like a ton of time getting that perfected, but that was just something kind of different that I hadn't normally experienced. Of course, after you wash it, you rinse it really thoroughly, and I spent a lot of time rinsing it as well. It also allows you to see kind of what was left over whether it's bugs or maybe paint chips or whatever it happens to be. Once you get kind of your vehicle clean, that exposes a lot more kind of information on what you're working with, especially long term. Like, what are you gonna have to stare at for years? And the good news is that I don't have any like paint damage or anything really significant. There's a few rock chips, and along the side of the truck is really clean. But so thankfully that is the good news. The bad news is that I did notice the painted parts of the mirror caps, like the ruby red part, was definitely etched, and some of the paint was removed from love bugs. I assume it was love bugs that had dried on the surface, and they just destroy the paint. So I think it's kind of an easy fix. I can either have those repainted or I can get new ones that are paint matched as well. So that's something that was kind of unfortunate to see, but it is a relatively easy fix. So the other thing I noticed was that the plastics, which this truck actually has a decent amount of plastics compared to what I'm used to, they need a little bit of work. It's not terrible, but definitely like a trim restorer. I use Solution Finish. That is definitely my #1 recommendation, which is in the description. That is going to be definitely a necessity when I do a full detail on this big truck behind me. So the plastics were okay, but being 6 years old, they definitely need a little bit of attention. The last thing, of course, I dried it with Bead Maker, and the reason I used Bead Maker was because I'm not trying to load up the paint with anything super durable, because I know that ultimately I will be paint correcting and it's just one less thing to worry about. So I just use Bead Maker, just use a regular kind of drying aid that has maybe a little bit of protection in it, but it's not really that crazy. So regardless, I used my blower, Bead Maker, and of course it took forever because the truck is huge, but that went really well. The other thing that I did to finish off the detail was CarPro Pearl on the tires. And I will say, on giant truck tires that have like a lot of nubs and like different like deviations, it tears up my foam block quite a bit. So that's something I'm gonna have to change my method. I know people use like the paintbrush method, which I feel like I don't really like that. I've used it on the Jeep and I just always kind of gravitated back towards the foam block. So I'll have to think of something else to do. Comments below if you have any suggestions, that would be much appreciated. So I've got to say that the final product of this thing, clean, is really nice. The ruby red is popping. It's really nice. It's just metallic-y enough to where it's like noticeable, but it's not so like bright in your face like a big bright truck where it's kind of like obnoxious. So I think it's like such a handsome color, but it's just like unique enough that it's like easy to live with, I guess is what I'm saying. So I think I picked the perfect color. The paint is not in terrible shape. It definitely needs a paint correction, but it's, it's definitely been polished before, which is good, but also bad because there's a few areas that I wish weren't really messed with. I'll get to that in a separate video, but generally speaking, I'm feeling like a little proud of driving this thing around now, where before I felt like, I don't know, I just felt like it wasn't mine. So once you get it kind of up to sort of at least a minimum standard of at least getting the grime off and getting it kind of into acceptable shape, it feels a lot better. So with that said, guys, all of the products are in my description box below as usual. I get a little bit of commission if you click on my links and buy those things from the websites included. Appreciate it, and it helps support the channel. Guys, stay tuned for much more Raptor content. Lots of it's gonna be detailing, maintenance, mods, upkeep, and I'm also going to be focusing on like what's it really like driving around like a massive truck. So I've always liked the Gen 1 Raptor, despite historically I thought trucks were kind of silly to own. Like it just doesn't really seem like you need a truck that much to justify owning one, but it's definitely cool. It's kind of like having the M3. I don't really need the M3, but like I feel like I do for certain occasions that I like justify it. So it's kind of the same thing. I love this thing already. It looks so freaking good. Let me get out of the way here. It looks so good. So we're gonna do a few more updates to the truck, modifications, and definitely some maintenance if I didn't mention that. So comment below what you want to see on the Raptor, and I will see you guys next time.